Hey guys, how you doing? This is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group. And today on Servant Leadership Sunday, man, we're going to talk a little bit about obtaining success versus sustaining success. And the reason that this conversation or this video is being brought up is because there are a lot of people or a lot of companies that obtain, great heights. They shoot up like rockets, but they don't maintain, right? And part of my mission, part of what I believe the Sims Consulting Group is called to do, is to make sure we build sustainable businesses, minority-owned businesses, and other businesses, not just minority-owned business, but that's our focus. Our focus is on minority-owned businesses that'll stand the test of time, that can be passed down from generation to generation, right? That are built in such a way that they're able to feed their community and be a part of their community, a productive part of their community, offer opportunities to their community for years to come, as opposed to being really not a business but a self-employment type of deal, right? Where it's one person, they're not really hiring anybody, but they feed their family, right? And they're somewhat successful, right? They do well, but it's not actually turning into community-wide success. And the businesses are not really lasting past the life of the actual owner. Maybe they'll do a couple years, and that goes into how you've trained the people that are going to succeed you. Whether you're building your business for scale, whether you're changing with the times, right? So there's a lot that goes into that topic, but we got to deal with it because we're the future that we need. If you understand what I'm saying, right? As this wealth gap continues to grow, as automation starts to take a lot of these not lower end jobs, but the service industry jobs. I don't like using the term lower end jobs, but these service industry jobs, right? Our people are going to be directly impacted by those things. So we need to build an economy or an industry that's really controlled by our hands, so we can employ people that need opportunities, right? It's a different thing when you're sitting across an interview desk from somebody you've never met that may or may not look like you, that doesn't understand your community, as opposed to maybe it being the guy down the street or a couple of blocks over that built a sustainable business that you went to high school with. Maybe you made some decisions that you're not proud of, but you learned from them. We hear those stories, and now you want to change your life, and you need in order to do that, man, you need an opportunity. But to be honest, man, that opportunity has to come with a livable wage. Right? We can't pay you less than what it takes to survive and expect that person to keep going, down that straight and narrow. They may have all the good intentions in the world, and I know this is not to make an excuse, but we have to be the answer to our community, and through our corporations and our businesses, provide opportunities for the people that are in our community. So this topic of obtaining success versus sustaining success is extremely important. And I have a scripture here because everything I do is based on scripture, right? Because that's my core. I'm a believer. That's my core. So we're going to start with Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27 out of the English Standard Version. I'm going to say that one more time. That's Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27. Excuse me. It says, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat great against that house, and it fell, and the fall of it was great." Two things from this scripture: circumstances, situations, issues, business problems, life problems come at all of us. The difference is, are we prepared? Are we building our life in a way that can withstand the inevitable, right? Storms are inevitable. Hurricanes, there's a hurricane season every year. Some years is worse, some years it's not as bad, right? But every year there's going to be a hurricane season. We're going to get thunderstorms. We're going to get, snowstorms. And they build our properties now in a way, some people say they built them strong in the past, but they build our houses in a way that can withstand the elements that is going to endure, right? If you're in a certain region, if you're in California or the West Coast, they build your house with a little bit of sway because there's a higher propensity for earthquakes. If you're on the East Coast, they build your houses for rain and things like that, right? So you have to understand that in life, there's going to be challenges. In business, especially, there's going to be challenges. There's nothing about you as a business person that is going to build your business so well that you never endure challenges, right? So, part of building for sustainability versus obtaining success is how you start, right? What are the things that are core to your organization? And we always talk about the process, right? Well, this is the start of the process, because you're not going to be able to sustain something that wasn't built correctly. If there is no foundation, I don't care how well you build that house, it's going to fall over during the earthquake or the storm or the hurricane, right? Because there's nothing really grounding it. So when you're building something, don't go for the quick results or the quick fix. Don't always try to set yourself up to be, don't think like I'm going to be rich in 2 years. I'm going to be super successful. Now that happens, and sometimes they're even built the right way, but in most of those cases, they've had the financial capabilities to hire the experts that have gone through it before, right? Or they just reached it was just luck. But for things that are going to be long standing, right, and are going to stand the test of time, they take longer to build. Good things take time. That was one of my posts I put before. Good things take time. So you want to be like the wise man who built his house on the rock, as opposed to the foolish man who built his house on the sand. And in doing that, it's going to be some difficult choices. You're going to have to leave deals on the table. You're going to have to say no to partnerships or yes to certain other partnerships. You're going to have to stretch yourself. You're going to have to be financially responsible. And everything that you do in business is going to require these things, right? But you have to think, like we talked about last week, Wednesday, you have to look at legacy. You have to look at what is going to happen if this company does not succeed. And I know we don't like to think about it, because a lot of times we're in a society that only thinks about, me, my family, my 4 plus no more and stuff like that. But if think about it like this, when a lot of these inner city communities were deindustrialized and they took all of these businesses out, these tire plants, these car factories, these factories of different industries, right? What happened to that community? There was no opportunity. So it made it right for us to create our own false economy using different things like drugs and whatever, right? We don't need to get into all that. But if you're going to build something that's going to be a blessing to the people that are in your community, and now we live in a global economy to a certain extent, so it's going to be far reaching, you have to build it with them in mind. Because these people have families, they have fathers, fathers and mothers and sons, and that are relying on this income to make decisions for their family, to feed their families, and do all those things. So you building for the quick shoot up is not really being a good leader, in my book. You're not being a good leader by building something that doesn't really stand the test of time. Because again, everybody may make a quick dollar, but life is long. And we need to get some resemblance of being able to go to a job, work at the company for as long as you possibly can, retire with a good salary, and live a good life. Because this idea that entrepreneurship is for everybody, to me, I don't agree with. It takes a lot to do this, and it's not about whether one person has it or doesn't. It's about their calling. Everybody's not called to be the business owner. Some people are called to help, right? Everybody, it's like in a church. If we all just wanted to be pastors, who would be help? Who would help? Who would open the door? If everybody in church is on the stage talking, what are you going to take away from it? Nobody's going to be able to hear anything. It's going to be like YouTube to a certain. Let me stop. But it's like, who's going to be able to hear anything? So they're. And plus, if you look at our community, we've owned more homes during those times, right? We don't need to have everybody running out trying to be the boss and it's not even about being the boss. It's about being the person that provides an opportunity. You're no more special than the person. The boss is no more special than the person that sweeps the floor, in my opinion, right? They both have a job to do. They both do it well. One person may be highlighted more, or may be quote unquote loved more by the community. But trust me, if we should have known, we should have found this out during the pandemic. If you ever went to a dirty bathroom, you know the value, especially if you got to work there for 8 hours. If you ever been in a dirty office, you know the value of the custodial staff. They're just as important, right? Salaries and things, right? But I also think, and sometimes we force people to make career decisions not based on what God has called them to do, but a number attached to it to please people who really don't care about them one way or the other, man. So let's just be honest. Everybody's not going to be the boss, but everybody's important. So I say all that to say, when you build this company, this business, think about see the people. Right? They're not just numbers, right? Sometimes the company gets big and you can't touch everybody, but that's not a number. That's a family. That's a person. So the decisions you make directly impact their little ones. And like I said, I by the grace of God, I've never had to. My kids get hungry all the doggone time. I don't understand it, but these people eat like they are, and then they're little people, little slim. You know what I mean? They not But by the grace of God, every time they've needed something to eat, I was able to, by the grace of God, provide it. It was as simple as going to the grocery store or going to the local restaurant or whatever, or picking up something, cooking something. There was always an ability to meet that need. And I would hate for me to build my business in a way that takes that ability from a parent because I wanted to make a quick buck. And don't ever do that. I don't want to work with you if that's what you want to do. I don't want to be a part of it, right? We have to think with sustainability, legacy, long term, because this thing that I'm building, this thing that you're building should outlast you, right? And it should be a blessing to people around you. We hear people all the time, man, how make bosses, this like that. Whatever you want to call it, right? But it's bigger than just you. It's bigger than just your cars or your for the ball, you're the last one to get paid a lot of times, right? Your pay may be the biggest, but you gotta make payroll before you pay out to yourself. You gotta keep something in the company budget. You got to keep something in the bank account, and you got to make sure that you do your best to bring prosperity and sustainability to the people in your community. Because if you're called to do this entrepreneur thing, your calling is attached to other people. So it's not about you. So once again, this is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group. We read Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27, and we talked about obtaining success versus sustaining success. And I want to say this too. To the community that is going to be blessed by this business, you have to protect, right? Because part of the way governments work, right? They bid out. They try to attract businesses. They try to attract companies. They try to, you remember the big thing where was Amazon's corporate office, all that stuff. All of these cities, states are trying to attract these companies. And it's hard to attract them when their employees have to put their lives on the line to go to work. And what I'm saying to you is, I'm not knocking the hood or whatever like that, but as these entrepreneurs start to come up, these young ones that you can see something special, right? Even if you may not be doing the right thing, you can look at a kid and be like, man, there's something special about you. Protect that person. Right? There are Nipsey Hussles and all these things in all of these communities that may not have taken the perfect route, but have so many ideas that can change the course of life for the people that they love, that are in their communities, that had the same advantages and disadvantages that they had. We should protect those people. We should allow those people to grow, their businesses to grow, because guess what that means? Opportunity for all. So this is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group, and on this Servant Leadership Sunday, we've talked about obtaining success versus sustaining success. Y'all be blessed, man. Peace.